Okay, right. Right, good evening everybody and welcome to the meeting of the Finance and Audit Committee of Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council. Today is Wednesday the 12th of June and it's 7 p.m. So we're going to start the meeting in the normal way with public participation. Is there anyone or any member of the public which wants to say anything? No? Okay, thank you. So going on to item number 2, to receive apologies for absence. Have we any apologies, please?
Councillor Winter, he's at a birthday meal.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Yes, Councillor Tempe.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. District Councillor for Rudder.
Okay, and Councillor Drayson.
Same.
Okay, right. Anything else? No, okay. Item number 5, to approve the minutes of the meeting of the 15th of May 2024. I assume everyone's read through them.
Yeah.
And is everyone happy? Yeah, are you seconding that? Yeah, can I have a show of hands to give me permission to sign? Yeah, okay. And you weren't there for that meeting, were you? Okay, fine. I'll just sign that. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we move on to item 6, governance and accountability. A, to receive and approve bank reconciliations of 31st of May 2024. B, to consider budget position as of 31st of May 2024. And D, to note reserve position as of 31st of May 2024. As we'll be going through these quite in a lot of detail, I want to put these through as a bulk issue. So can I have a seconder for us to approve these, please? Councillor Tempe. Can I have a show of hands? Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, sign the bank balance. The bank balance here.
Yep.
So you sign.
Do you update that?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah. Right.
And then there's the instant access account, which is that one.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so moving on to item D.
Could I?
Yes.
Sorry, Chair. On the position of the reserves, I just wanted to ask a quick question, if possible. We have £27,000 earmarked for the 5-year strategy and £20,000 earmarked for the additional staffing. I understand we need to move things around a little bit on this, and what I wanted to do is it's getting closer and closer to what we want to do in Pepsham with the play park, and I wanted to talk about tonight, if possible, moving some of those earmarked reserves over to a possibility of using them towards the Pepsham play park. In my mind, I had the additional staffing which we haven't used and won't need to use at the moment, and also the £27,000 out for 5-year strategy, and also bringing a little bit of money from the seal money as well, which we need to start using, to equal close to £80,000. So 2720 plus 33 from seal. So we've got something there ready for the play park. and obviously move towards grants after that to close that gap. It doesn't mean that we need to use it all, but I'd like it to be there for when the time comes.
What figure are you aiming for? Can you refresh
I'm
my
aiming for
memory?
about 80.
80.
Well, for the actual park to be
Yes.
built. Well, we're waiting for tender to come through, but we were looking above 80 when we first had a look a few months back. Obviously prices go up, so I'm not sure what they'll be coming back with. I'm not sure, through you, Chair, if the clerk can remind us when we'll know about tenders on the park.
Yes, certainly. Through you, Chair, we should find out in the next few weeks. So it'll be closing. So we'll be bringing back all the scoring of those tenders into a private meeting of full council, and we can approve which one you want to go ahead with. So we're getting really close.
So we're getting close to the date, and obviously we'll be waiting on Rother for the land as well. So when we are there, we want to be ready for it, and I think that moving over those earmarked reserves to the play park would be beneficial for us moving forward, and it will get us some of that seal money used as well, which we need to do, and we need to do it towards something good.
Thank you. Yes, obviously that's a very relevant thing, and it's something that the community will certainly benefit from. I'd like to. We did go through the 5-year strategy, and I'd like to make sure that there's no money that we need to allocate from that. I think a lot of that's already been settled. Do you need maybe put a motion through for us to review these items of expenditure?
I would be happy to put a motion through to have a look at this balance sheet and work out what we can use as earmarked reserves towards the park if possible, while using seal money as well if we can.
Yes.
Please.
And bring that to the next meeting maybe? And get the figure work done.
We can do. Is this something that we can move around tonight? Is it something we need? Because it does say to note reserves position as of 31st of May. So do we need to sort of work out what we're doing with these reserves tonight? Is that what that...
I think this is just an estimate. Well, it's obviously, it just summarises what our plans are with the reserves. And if we're going to solidify that to this project, I'd like to make sure that we go through this intensively to make sure that that there's enough, well, there will be enough money, but where it's all going to come from and how it's all going to be rationalised. So I'd like that to be something that we would look at and to be able to make a decision on that for the next meeting. Is everyone happy with that? So that would be a motion to consider the funding of this Pebsham Play Park and to allocate money, available monies from the 5-year strategy and the additional staffing fee and some seal money to make sure that we can actually fund this.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, probably needs just we look to where we fund it instead of mentioning those things that you just said. I know that's the obvious place, but
yeah.
Sorry.
just look at reserves to how we're going to fund that.
Yep. We also need to look at, I'm not sure if any work, I believe it has been done on grants towards what we can be looking at and how much we can be looking at towards the park. Through you, Chair, again, to the clerk, what idea do we have in regards to grants?
For seal money,
Grants for the
from
park.
people.
grants for the park. Oh, external grants.
External
Yes,
grants,
that's what
yeah.
Paul's exploring. So once we know the cost, because they're all sealed tenders at the moment, so once we've opened those and we know how much it costs, then we can make some applications for external grant funding, which will likely be matched. So we're looking, the couple that we think we might be eligible for are 50-50. So we put in half and they put in half.
Brilliant.
So once we've opened those tenders, we can really get mowed through with those applications and understanding it. So what I could do is put together a suggested move around of the reserves for you to look at next time and allocate all the money that we think we need for the Pebsham. And then if we get a grant, then we can then reallocate the excess, the surplus, into another reserve. But if we put it all in, at least you know you've
We
got
know
it.
it's safe.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chair. This project would definitely qualify for community grants from Rother. Most definitely. So we would need to
Look
be
into
sure
that.
that we do that.
Okay. So we need to word this motion to investigate funding for the play park and to discuss it at the next meeting. Is that a feasible? Yeah, okay.
Does that fit your timeline? I mean, I can't remember the timeline
For
the park. Does that fit?
well,
your-
tender will be coming. So hopefully, actually, we probably won't know by the next full council meeting. We probably won't know the tenders, will we?
Well, the next one after that will be September then.
Oh no, because we'll call an extraordinary meeting if
For
it
that.
doesn't fit in our meeting schedule, because we can't afford to wait
No.
until after.
Well, I just thought August.
So yeah, so we'll call, if we get to a position where we've got the tenders, they all meet the criteria, and we're ready for you to make a decision, we'll call a meeting for you to make a decision,
Good idea.
so that we can start applying for grants. We need the lease from Rother. All of this sort of opening the tenders is the starting point for the rest of the
So we
project.
can definitely wait till the next meeting. Then it will be tight, but we
Yeah,
can wait
yeah.
till the next meeting, and then hopefully the most important part is land from Rother and how quickly we can get that sorted. The moving of the lease. Is it the moving of the lease that we needed to talk about?
Well, we need the council to agree ahead to terms with Rother on what that is about, and at the moment I think we're kind of stuck between they want you to lease the whole of Pebsham and the council just wants to lease the area for the play park. So I'm just negotiating at the moment to go, and I've gone back and said no, we just want the area that the play park's on, and they've queried how we would manage that, but that's quite normal for a town council to lease a small area within a large park, and then the town council will be responsible for the weekly playground checks, the annual ROSPA inspection, repairs and maintenance, because it would all be within the red line that you're leasing from Rother. So I've gone back and explained that is quite a usual situation. So now we're waiting to see what Rother come back with. So we're kind of in a negotiation at the moment, I suppose.
Okay.
Who are you talking to?
Deborah Keneally.
Oh, Deborah. Okay. I'll find out for you.
Okay, so are we ready to propose this motion?
Yeah.
Formalise it?
So we're proposing a motion to work around earmarked reserves,
Or to investigate funding?
to investigate funding and then work out earmarked reserves as an info. Earmarked reserve.
Well, we're already investigating funding, so you don't need to resolve that because we've already done that from before. So we know that's already underway. I'd probably say to consider reallocating the reserves and some of the SIL funds together to make a specific reserve of 80,000.
Yep.
I'll say approximately,
Of approximately.
because if the quotes come up a little bit higher, we'll make it a little bit higher at the next meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine, thank you. Thank you very much. So can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Drayson. And can I have a show of hands? That's unanimous. Well done. Thank you very much. I'm delighted. Right, so to move on, did we get as far as the backs payments?
60.
Got a bit distracted there.
On block.
Yeah, because we had to go back and discuss this item on the reserves. So now we're on item D to approve backs payments up to the 31st of May 2024. So Councillor Hussain L and myself have gone through these, so we just need somebody else to sign these off. No, okay.
May I just ask a question?
Yes, Councillor Tempe.
The monthly payment to Mr Dennis, was it always 825? Or was it gone up?
No, it's gone up slightly. It was 775.
Yeah, that's what I remember. So, why has it gone up? So,
That's the contract that was agreed for year 2.
okay.
Okay then, so are we happy to move on now to item G to consider the report on the 1-year bond? So presumably we've all had that. Oh, that's yes, item F to approve staff costs. Yeah, and item G to consider report on 1-year bond.
I've got a question on that, if that's okay.
Yep.
It was, I can find it. There was one that said instant, that's it, the one that said instant access.
CCLA.
at 5? I know it's the Bank of England rate tracker, so obviously it's on tracker. But is that what it means that it is instant access?
Let me see. Which item was this?
If I can, Chair, I think it was mentioned earlier that there may be penalties for taking it out.
Yes,
But,
yeah, that's why we
Okay,
thought
yeah,
maybe it would be a good idea to have CCLA come along and talk to you, because there is some risk involved with it. So if we put money into one-year bonds like with Unity or these other banks, there's no risk, that's capital protected, but because they are doing CCLA are paying a higher rate with some risk attached, we thought before you make a decision about this, maybe you'd like to hear from CCLA to give you some background.
Could we, rather than waiting for them to come and give us the info, could we not choose one today, get it in, and then get the CCLA for next year?
Yeah,
Otherwise we're then holding it up again because it was meant to be done before. And if we get it done today and then get them to come and chat to us, and then next year we know what we're talking about with that.
Bearing in mind the situation, are we happy to invest £200,000, the sum of £200,000?
I mean, looking
I
at
thought
it,
we decided that might leave us a little bit vulnerable.
well, we said that maybe we could take from areas, but if we're now looking at the play park, then it may leave us.
Yeah, well, I think is
there anything that
we need
Clark could recommend?
We need to be prudent before making a commitment like this. And if what about deferring this until the next meeting when we've had chance to investigate the funding of the play park and making sure that we've got enough flexibility to allocate £200,000 to this?
Calculator. I think you can make a decision tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
I think 231 in general reserves is a bit tight just to leave 31. So perhaps if we did 150, because it's 1 year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you did 150 for 1 year and we kept the other bit fluid for now, just in case, and see how we get along with that, possibly.
Okay, Councillor Drayson.
being risk averse myself, and we haven't done it, I was going to suggest more like 100,000 because it's only for a year. 100, 150, I'd be guided by the clerk, but we haven't done it, and now we're thinking about doing it. So let's not do the 200, but I'd be guided by it if the clerk thinks 150 is okay.
It's 150. Would that leave us about 80?
Yeah.
80, and there's other money in other reserves.
Yeah, and really that is your emergency fund.
Yeah.
So that would be the last place I would say to you we take money for anything. We would use all of our other allocated money first. But we don't know what's going to happen. So you're right, we've got to be risk averse as public authority.
What I think.
I would think 150 would be quite prudent.
Yeah, I think so. It's sensible under the circumstances.
Yeah.
Right, so
Shall we
Simply
make that
go with-
decision?
I guess Unity Trust.
Unity Trust have got the most generous quote, apart from this other company that could be a little bit risk assessed. So maybe £150,000 with Unity Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to recommend pass a motion to invest £150,000 with Unity Trust for a 1 year fixed rate bond.
Yeah.
Okay. That's seconded. Yes, that's seconded by Councillor Tempe. You can have a show of hands, please. Yeah, that's unanimous.
Brilliant.
So it's £150,000 to Unity Trust. Thank you very much. So, where am I now? Item H. To note the following resolution and consider how to address the Finance and Audit Committee breaching the limit at 43% for recommendation to full council. It was resolved that no more than 40% rounded down of membership on committees shall be made up of councillors holding office at both the Town Council and District Council. So there are 3 district councillors, and that upsets the balance that was agreed, I think, last meeting. So, Councillor Drayson.
I was just going to say, where does this come from? Full council.
I think that was
Because
agreed.
it wasn't in the
before.
minutes of
It
the
wasn't
last meeting
agreed.
here,
Was it agreed? Sorry, was it agreed?
and I don't know where this has come from myself.
It was
Full
agreed.
council in May.
Full council in May.
I thought that's what it was. Yes, it's just Councillor Hussain.
If I remember rightly, did we say 40% or did we say around that?
I think it was rounded down to 40%.
Rounded down to 40%.
Yeah.
I thought I remember we said we were going to be, because it couldn't be exact, it was going to be that we would be a little bit flexible with it.
There's 7 of us.
Would
on
I,
this.
would I be able to make a proposal, Chair?
Yes.
So what it looks like should be done is to ask one of the RDC councillors to step down. However, how would it work for the percentage if we asked in full town council for one more councillor on this committee to be added? I know it would bring the committee number up to 8, but rather than asking someone who maybe doesn't want to step down, if they do, that's not a problem at all. Would it go against what we set last time?
Yeah, is it acceptable for a committee to have an even number of members?
And it's entirely up to the council, so it'd be entirely up to full council to set the number of members in a committee. So you can make a recommendation as the finance committee that you want to, if you want to increase your membership. That will go to full council, and then the full council will consider it.
And that would alleviate that problem, because if we've got the membership criteria of 8, then that's going to reduce this 40% to something acceptable.
Maybe we could give the option to the RDC councillors if they would like to step down first, and if one of them don't, then it shouldn't be a problem in my eyes to add it, to round it up to 8, and ask if anyone of the full town council who's not an RDC member would like to join the committee.
Yeah, Councillor Drayson.
Alternatively, because if you're going to deal with silly percentages and have 43 rounded down to 40, you're talking about 0.7 of a person.
Yeah, it
Or
was.
0.7 of a person. We've got 2.8 who happen to
Which
be
was spoken
councillors,
about,
and 3.
Yeah.
So you either live with it, or we go with Councillor L's suggestion that we go back to council and say, well, okay, what about making it 8? Because the difference in that is just negligible.
Yeah.
Could we maybe, I would be happy to put forward a motion tonight to ask this committee here if everyone would be happy for the committee to remain as it is and keep it at 43% just for this committee.
I'm probably not allowed to vote on it.
Because I think then you set a precedent for all the other committees, and they'll go, well, the finance don't like it, and then the whole motion was completely pointless.
It is just splitting a person into points, though.
It is, but just playing devil's advocate, if that's what was, I wasn't at that meeting, but if that's what was, and that's what the council voted on, it has to go. I get we might want to be a bit flexible here, but then again, we set the precedent for every other meeting down the line is, well, we'll be flexible with that one, but not with this one.
And I believe this committee, was it, am I right to say that it was set for 6 people anyway, and we raised it up to 7?
Yeah.
We were flexible there.
And then, as Councillor Drayson said, if you're adding a person, you're not really solving the problem.
Well, the percentage
Well, you
change.
would, I guess your voting
It
would
would,
be.
yes.
It would,
your
sorry.
voting
Yeah,
would
it
be.
would be a way of rectifying it, because then it would be 3 to 5.
Can I just...
Sorry, I need to ask Councillor Drayson.
It's just got me, because we're at 43%, and the figure of 40% was rounded down. So what on earth was it rounded down from? What figures did somebody do that it came to a number that was more than 40% and had to be rounded down to 40%? Because it sounds like we're really playing at things. But also, I have to say, as a personal thing here, I am equally committed to this council as Rotherham, and I take this as very much like you, Rotherstone.
Can I just have... Can I?
Yes, go on,
Yeah.
Councillor Hussain.
Just quickly, I understand what you're saying, but the whole reason for it was for the future, that if this town council then becomes a Rother district,
Subservient,
yes,
satellite.
then that's why that was put in. It's not actually for the council now. I think that was why. why that was agreed.
Maybe a solution would be to just increase our membership to 8. So, Councillor L.
We discuss it in full council.
We started off this committee already speaking about ideas for the future and coming up with some fantastic ones. I would like to move forward with what we have at the moment, and I would like to put for a motion, if possible, probably not including the RDC councillors here at the moment, but the 4 of us that aren't, to propose that we carry on how we are during this committee this year.
Can I, through you, Chair, can I just say, should actually Councillor Timpey and I leave the room? Would it be easier if we left the room?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, and then we'll have a
Yeah.
Bexhill Town Council decision on this. Well, since the full council that comprises 18 people, and even if we increase the membership to 8, we'd still be less than half of us. And this is quite a major committee in the running of Bexhill Council. Personally, I've got no problem with having 8 members. If it's going to alleviate things and we still have a majority. And if it was a major decision, and if it was a strategic decision, then the other councillors wouldn't have any say in it and they'd have to leave the room anyway, so that would just be like it is now, wouldn't it?
It would. So maybe that is the next step, is you go out and see if there's an additional councillor that wishes to join finance, and then if not, we'll have to make the decision around.
And any major
Someone has
decisions,
to-
then we would have to leave it and restrict it to purely Bexhill Town councillors within this committee.
Yeah.
Is that sensible?
How, sorry?
If we so we stayed at 7, and we had to make a major financial decision for our town, which is who we're representing, then in fairness to our residents, then we would have to ask the other district councillors to leave the room while we made this decision as Bexhill Town councillors, and they weren't allowed to participate in the voting.
If I have to be completely honest, it just doesn't sit right with me to allow a councillor onto our committee, our councillor, Bexhill Town councillor, onto our committee, and then not allow them the right to vote after all the hard work that they put in.
Who wouldn't have the right to vote?
Well, you're saying that the RDC councillors would have to leave the room in order to,
I think
when
what
we're
Council
voting on a
means
major
is if there's a major,
If it's a major
and it
issue,
is to do with Rotherham, they wouldn't be able to vote anyway. Same way as they.
they'd have to declare that they've got a non-pecuniary interest and leave the room when we were voting.
I think the most simple thing with this is what Councillor L said, is to maybe add 1 person, and then
What, another Bexhill Town council?
yeah, I think that's the most simple way of doing it.
Well, then do we propose a motion for us to approach at the next full council meeting for another volunteer to join our committee from Bexhill Town Council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most simple thing rather than going around in circles. That's the most
Okay.
simple
Well,
thing.
we've got to be definitive
And
on
then-
this. And
if nobody puts their hand up, do we talk about it next meeting, or do we have a backup plan?
Well, if no one
well,
joins,
If no one puts their name
then I
forward?
guess the only way is that someone has to step down.
Is there any other committee that's got this problem?
No.
I don't know.
Just finance.
Oh, it's just this one.
But I agree with what you said, with saying that you can't have it different for this one and just say it doesn't matter this time. If there's a rule there, there's a rule there.
We say it for grants, we say it for
Yeah.
everyone else externally, so we need to be doing it internally as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
And I
that.
don't want to hear anything from any residents being unhappy because
Yeah.
we are above this accepted percentage.
And again, I do understand what the councillors are saying, but it was put in place, and the reason it was put in place was a good reason. It may not apply to it now, but in years' time, 2 years'
Yeah.
time, could be that we do
Yeah, well, we don't want to look like another version of Rother District Council, so we need to keep the majority here.
Yeah.
So I think
Should we let
come
them
back
come
to
Bring
in?
it back to full council.
getting another member on our committee.
Should we let them come back in? And
Oh, can we have a vote on that then?
do we vote with them though? I think we should.
No,
vote.
no, they should. I don't think they should
Okay.
vote on this. So can I have a seconder for us getting another councillor L? And can I have a show of hands? Oh, that's unanimous. Okay, so we will apply to full council to get another Bexhill Town councillor to join us here to keep the balance right.
Is that something that Julie would send out prior to full council in a couple of weeks, so that we don't long it out by another meeting?
Well, it would come up on the agenda, wouldn't
Of
it?
course it would,
So
yeah.
what I'll do is in the full council agenda where it says recommendations from committees,
That would
I'll
come
put
in.
a note that says this committee's over that decision and this is the recommendation.
Yeah.
And then so it'll be quite early doors on full council, then they can discuss and vote whether or not to add an extra member. And then it's
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right, so the next item, I think we can now go on to item 7, grants and donations. 7A, to note next round of grants and donations, applications to be reviewed in July. Item B, to note previous grant recipients to be written to for an update. So I presume that's already gone out, so we'll be getting some feedback about what we were able to achieve through this programme last year. And item C, to review the grants and donations policy. So has anyone got any comments to make on the grants and donations policy, please? Any comments about this? Councillor Hussain.
I think Councillor Ruston last time said that about the window is quite big, basically, isn't it? So maybe we add on to that.
Yeah,
Instead of
I
not-
think.
Yeah, I'll leave it to Councillor Ruston.
Yeah, as we've developed and as we've offered more out, we've had more people come to us for money, for larger pots of money throughout the year as one-offs. And I think we need to stop it because we can quite easily spend everything before the actual formal grant process is opened. But yeah, given some of the larger amounts of money, you have one chance in a year to do that. Do we need to try and be a bit more open and flexible with that?
Well, there are 3 grant application meetings on our schedule. They're January, July and October. So how do we feel about simplifying it to make each meeting applicable to a maximum of £10,000? So that's 3 meetings with £10,000 worth of grants, and that totals to 30,000. Sorry, Councillor L.
I've only very recently fully understood our grants and donations policy, which would mean that residents also find it quite difficult to understand, because during some windows you can only ask for so much, during other windows you can go up to £10,000, I believe, so a little bit more. In my mind, so as far as I believe, we've got £30,000 that we can grant out. I was looking at the months January, May and October. January to set up the beginning of the year, May to move into the beginning of the summer months, and October getting ready for more Christmas events. So 3 windows again during those 3 months. Have each window at £10,000, and you can ask for grants between £1,000 or £10,000, and it'll be up to us to decide whether we're happy to do that. But that will give everybody a chance in each window to ask for the maximum amount, and then we can make our mind up from there, rather than just, I believe it's just in October now they can ask for the larger amounts, and then every other window it's only up to 1,000.
Yes.
So again, it will be our prerogative whether we think that demands the 10,000, but I don't think we should limit it to just one window. Split the 30,000 into 3, January, May, October, and then give them a chance.
Councillor Hussain.
Are we also staying at 30,000, or are we increasing that?
Well, I believe we have a chance.
I think we're restricted by statistics as to how much a maximum allocation for grants
Right, for the clerk
is,
said
and I
we
think
could.
that's pro rata to the population of Bexhill.
Right.
Can you confirm that, please, Julie?
It is, so it's this is coming up at full council actually,
Okay.
because Councillor Wilson asked that question, that could that be at the last full council, could it be increased? Because it could. So how section 137 grant funding is allocated is the department for the DLUC. Yeah, we've got it. Department for Levelling Up and Communities set an amount per head per elector that you can allocate under grants and donations. So I've looked up, ready in anticipation for full council, I've looked up your electorate figures, the latest electorate figures, to work out what that figure might be. And it's like 300,000 something. So at the moment 30,000 is set, because that was what was set in your first precept bid. So I suppose when you look at your first precept bid, that was relative to your first precept. So you could put the precept up to cover an increase in the amount of grants and donations you made next year. Or if you want to increase it now, you could take money from your earmark reserves and rejig some of those to increase it now. That's a decision to be had, really.
Yeah, so some... Oh, go on, sorry.
So I was just going to say, that last point, is there something that would stop that being seal money?
This isn't still money.
No, but I'm
this is
saying,
section
when you say about
137.
moving our earmark reserves, would that specifically exclude?
Yes,
Yeah.
because that has to be to projects that you
Yeah.
can describe that are to do the infrastructure created by the developments.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, one of the questions was, I don't know if 30,000 a year is doing enough justice as to what's up there and what's being applied for. And also whether or not we put a limit on to, if we're trying to make this a little bit more flexible, but take it back where an organisation is limited to only apply for X amounts in the year, so that it's not seen that one organisation is just getting more because they're the only ones applying for it. And the other comment I had was, I've seen some other councils around the country looking up on this have a small amount up to, I think there was one up to 250 and one up to 500 that's open all year, and it's reviewed on a monthly basis, because sometimes for these small charities it's run by volunteers, they don't have the time. Can we be a bit more flexible with that as well? So
Councillor,
I find that a very positive move actually. I do believe that we should increase it where we can, and I also do believe, and I agree with you completely, Councillor Ruston, that there should be a window all year round, maybe not for the 1,000, 10,000, 5,000 mark, but up to £500 that we can grant.
review each meeting, but I understand that has a burden on staff with putting it together and whatever else, but if it's something that's doable, it's something that I would like to maybe try and firm up.
Councillor Temple.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's a really positive thing to have it, so that you could actually even look at things that, because people put on events and they think about it and then it doesn't actually fit our time scale. So, but I wouldn't limit it to 500. I would, because if it's a big event, 500 isn't going to go anywhere, is it? So
But
I wouldn't put a limit on it really, other than the limits you already have.
But I believe bigger events will be more prepared in asking for their, or should
You
be.
would think.
Should be.
But maybe not. I'm just trying to, because I think 500 is really a low amount to say that we're going to be flexible and think about that every meeting, however many times we meet. I think that's a bit low. That's just my personal opinion.
I think it's making it that and something reviewing every meeting is a lot more flexible than what we are at the moment. And like Councillor Ellis just said, if I was planning an event that needed £5,000, I'd know about this 6 months ago, and it would always fall into one of them windows. Because if you're trying to put something on that big and you need that amount of funding, you know that you have to work within a time scale, and it's not just going to happen overnight.
Definitely.
And for those lower amounts are going to be some of those real smaller grassroots groups, whatever else, that will need it, and they might need it a bit quicker because something's gone wrong and they need to access it and they don't have the funds to do so. So
Could I suggest that it's 1,000?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because
Yeah.
I do think that that's a little bit more feasible and practical than 500.
So if it's 1,000 a month, so are you talking about regularly?
Well, that we can, I mean, it
Or
might
to
be-
consider.
you wouldn't have it every month probably, but
No.
you know, it should be there, available if a grant comes in and it's outside the timescale that we can award it. That's what I think.
So, if that's going to be a possibility, then would we allocate a further £12,000 into this grant and keep £1,000 a month open for each one, so it doesn't touch the other £10,000 for each window that we have, or would we do it once every 2 months? Or how would we work that out? I mean, it would be a good idea to allocate 12,000 a year towards that, bring the grants up to 42.
Yeah, well,
Have the £1,000 a month there, but it can also be 250, 500, 750. It can be split,
yeah.
and then also have.
But going on what Julie just said about the DLUC recommendation, we're way below it, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I think allocating more money to the grant, to community grants, would be also something we need to think about.
Can we do that though now? I believe. Add
12,000.
Could we add the 12,000 now, or is that something that has to go to full council?
Yeah, we're going to go to full council.
Right. Okay.
So
That's what I understood from you.
yeah, and I've got enough time to put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
We're just recommending.
Yeah. So to allow more flexibility within our grant programme, we would like to increase the allocation by £12,000 and have these 3 other set meetings at £10,000 maximum.
Does everyone feel they're the right times during the year, the January, May and October? Because the way I thought about it in my head was, like I said, January covers the first few months. May, if you accept a grant in May, then it covers your summer period where everyone has their events, and then the October month carries out into November and December, which is Christmas. Or
Yeah, but everyone knows Christmas is coming, and if they want to do
Well,
something, they've got
actually
the
some
whole year
people have.
to organise.
I was going to say, I've got no argument with those, and as has been shown for the last few years, we can always change it if it's wrong, because we keep changing this policy, so I would go with that.
So this motion would be then to ask for permission from recommendation to full council to increase the grant programme by £12,000 and to allocate 3 meetings in addition, each totalling a grant maximum of £10,000 for the rest of the year.
And are we adding what Councillor Russell said?
what?
And the monthly,
That we have
The
a
monthly.
monthly consideration,
Yeah, okay, sorry, yeah.
Monthly consideration up to.
1,000.
But
you want
if it's monthly, then it couldn't be 12,000, could it? Because there's no meetings in
11.
August.
Yeah, so then we'll do
Then we'll have an
11.
extra 1,000 to give away. Who knows?
Well, I'll say £1,000 a month then.
Because you might find, that in September, the people who would have come in August who couldn't will come. So I think 12,000 is fine.
An additional 12,000 to be allocated whenever we have monthly meetings. No, that's not right, is it?
At these meetings.
Shall I read
Yeah.
it back?
Yes, please. I'm getting a bit lost.
So it was resolved to recommend to full council that the grants and donations policy is streamlined to offer up to £10,000 in January, May and October. Each application can be made up to a value of £10,000 because they might not want 10, they might
Yeah.
want 5,
Right, yes,
up to a value of £10,000. And for smaller grants, up to £1,000 to be considered at each meeting.
Yeah.
An
Right.
additional £12,000 to be allocated from the general reserves to increase the grants and donations budget to £42,000.
That's what else said.
Would I be able
Yes.
to? I do apologise to everybody. Would I be able to change one thing now? Thinking about the months, could we do January, May, and September? Because October only gives them 2 months till the next window again. So maybe widen it up a little bit, gives them a little bit more chance. If that's okay with everybody.
I refer you to my question earlier that we can always change it. And we just have
So now you want January, May and September. Okay, I haven't got a problem with that.
January. Yeah, there it is.
So
Yeah.
Do we need to read that out again to get a
Shall I?
second?
So,
Yes,
yeah,
please.
so sure. So, it's resolved to recommend to full council that grants and donations policy is streamlined to offer up to £10,000 in January, May and September, with each application. Each application can be made up to the value of 10,000, and for smaller grants of up to £1,000 to be considered at each meeting. An additional £12,000 to be allocated from the general reserves to increase the grants and donations budget to 42,000.
Right. Okay. Anybody want to second that? Councillor Drayson. And can I have a vote, please? Right. That's unanimous. Passed. So we'll make that recommendation to full council. Thank you. Okay. So going on
Oh, I was just going to add a few more questions onto it as well.
about
The grants. We passed the motion on the
Okay.
amounts. The report situation, I understand that now it's been written, or we've asked to go out to it, but I think that's something that we need to be a little bit more on top of, so that we know that what is actually going on with the money. At the moment it says there is no restriction to the number of times an organisation may apply for grant funding. However, the history of previous applications will be considered in the decision-making process. Are we able that when a grant is presented to us, we can have something that tells us how many times they've been awarded a grant by Bexhill Town
I
Council?
should imagine that would be on our records automatically.
It will be for those admin-wise, but as time goes on and new councillors come in, it will be good that if an organisation has applied more than once, that we know as a committee how many times they've applied in that year or overall.
So I think that's a standard question on the application form, is it?
It is, but
Yes.
I think it's that when we say that the history of previous application will be considered in decision-making process, I'm guilty of it. I've not asked that question before. And I think by having that on the sheet that we're given with the proposals clear so that everyone can see it, will make that, because at the moment I feel that's in there, 3.7, but it's not worth the paper it's written on. If we're trying to make this a lot more respectable, shall we say, and that's something, because at the moment I've had organisations come and say we've held off not doing it, but then they find out a week later someone's been approved for this, and I know the next thing will be, well, they've had it before, I haven't. So we need to be clear on who's.
So maybe to give it more priority on and more emphasis on the application form, would that resolve it?
I think it's about making us aware that we're all in our heads when we're deciding on it, but also that we know when they're presented to us if they've received other funding, because it's okay now because we've only been going a couple of years of it, but down the line, just thinking about sustainability of it,
Yeah,
if we do it now, it's always going to run.
to make it part of the procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor L.
Rather than the application procedure, maybe that can just be shown to us on the agenda next to that grant that's requested on the agenda to say so and so, whoever's asking for that grant, they have been awarded 2 grants in the last 3 years for the amount of 2,000 and 3,000. Just so when we're looking at the agenda and we're sitting here and we're trying to make our decision on that grant, we can see that the person asking for that grant has had 2 or 3 or 4 grants approved in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Right, okay, so we'll be asking...
So just in brackets next to that grant request on the agenda, they've had this many grants in the last this many years.
Yes, yeah, to make people aware of the situation. Right, so that's something that we're putting on the officers to do rather than...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we may have 2 grants of £1,000 that's coming for that month. One of those maybe have had 3 in the last 3 years and the other one hasn't had any. We just need to be able to make an informed decision on who we think should have that £1,000.
Yeah. Right, okay. Is that acceptable?
Okay.
Okay. Right, good thought then. Because, I mean, that, to my mind, could be programmed in to flag up immediately when somebody makes an application if they've made it previously.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're proposing that when we're discussing a grant, if somebody's made previous applications, that the committee will be made aware of it immediately?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Do we, just to make it a little bit clearer for staff-wise, do we as a committee feel that we do it from this point on because it's new,
Yeah.
or do you want to backdate that to others? I feel that because this is what we've set today, we do it from
I think,
So,
yes, we,
point,
yeah.
we can't backdate it, we can't alter anything that's already happened.
Yeah.
But to be prudent and fair, I think that's a very good suggestion. Okay, right. Could I have a show of hands then? We've got a seconder. Yeah, that's unanimous. Okay. Did you have any other...
one more.
Why did I ask?
And now that we've approved this, and hopefully at full council the additional money will go on, can we, maybe at full council I should ask it, but for that next edition of Bexhill News, can we make a big thing about it so it's really out there?
To make
Because
it
yeah, we're
public
trying to make
knowledge.
it easier, let's try and
Yeah,
push it a bit more.
to make this change in ruling public knowledge in the next available issue of Bexhill News.
Yeah.
And that the next grant, bigger grant one is September now.
Okay. Right.
Oh yeah, so if we missed,
Well, we might have missed the deadline for July's edition, I don't know, of the Bexhill News.
no, I'm
No, the next grant.
Yeah,
the next
Yeah,
grant.
the next grant programme will be September, so if
Yeah.
they're made aware of that, we've got plenty of time to
Yeah.
get people aware of it before September.
So, sorry, does that change from today?
Well, I suppose it doesn't
Goes to
change.
full
It's
council.
got to be full
Right,
council.
okay,
Yes,
just
it's
because
gotta be
obviously in
approved.
July you've got your grant applications,
Yeah.
haven't you, this
Yeah.
time? So we need to make sure we don't miss that.
Yeah.
Do we have that open for this time, and then that's
And then after
from
the July
September?
is going.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen in July then? There's a full council meeting in June, and what's going to happen to the July? Is that going to be
Well, that's what I'm
10,000?
saying. We need to keep that open this time, and then start this from September.
Or do we
Alright.
split it between July and September, 5,000 in July, 5,000? It's not a 5,000 one though, is it, in July?
July is...
It's not a 10,000 one, is it?
no, July is up to 1,000, so it's not actually going to make any
Oh, okay.
difference.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So that's not that's fine then. So that £1,000 is going to stay as it is,
Because
and then the
it-
September one will be 10,000.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So presumably we have to get this passed that we're going to notify Bexhill News about this change in ruling.
Well, it has to be
After
under
the full council.
doesn't
Go to
it?
full
First.
council, yeah.
No, I can make that decision because that's been delegated to me to write the articles. So I
if
can
it
do that.
happens.
You don't have to have a formal recommendation or approval. I can just choose to do that as part of my delegated authority. So
Yeah, right,
we'll
so-
write a
But if full council don't approve it,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
After-
until
after-
once they decide, then we'll write the story of this was agreed. This is what the story is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can I move on now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, thank you. Right, item 8, Town Council Hub. 8A to receive original schedule of condition document for 35 Western Road. That's been forwarded to us, and we've seen the original document and the photographs of the condition of the building at that time. So, has anyone got any comments to make on that? Okay, thank you. So moving on to item B, to note continuing to seek quotes on security enhancements in the Town Council Hub. As I understand that there's an extra bit of construction that we're asking for a quote for, but there haven't been enough quotes for us to make a decision. So we'll have to defer that until we've got enough quotes to come in. So going on to item C.
Can I just comment just one thing on A?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I've seen what the costs are, and there are some small costs that are fine. But with the larger costs, is it not worth looking if we're gonna, you know, like your 5,000? I can see that there is obviously an issue, but is it not worth looking if we are? If I know we keep going on about looking for a new premises, but before we spend
Well, there's going to be a break clause after 5 years, isn't there? So that'll be
27, I think.
27, yeah.
But we need to start looking really if we're serious on finding somewhere.
Well, that was supposed to have been mentioned at each one of our meetings, but I think we put that down. But I mean, we'll be open to suggestions.
Just because we keep spending on the shop and it's not, you know, it's fine. It obviously needs bits that need doing will be spent on it, but would it not be really need to look into it if we are going to buy premises or not? And there are premises in the town that I think are suitable.
So are you proposing that we put that item back on?
Right,
Well, we're still legally obliged to go to this 5-year period.
yeah, of course, yeah. But you don't want to wait for the 5-year period to end and then start looking. You want to start looking. So by the time you found one, looked into it, got it right, it's going to take a while to do that as well.
Yeah.
And then if the right buildings are up for sale, then it's not going to hurt to pay to get out of that contract anyway of that building. So if you find the right building now and it's the right, it's good enough, then you've got 3 years of rent to pay, and you just pay it and get out of it. Worst case, that's the worst case. If that came up, that's like if that came up today, you'd pay 3 years. But what I'm saying is, if we're looking and we find something this year or next year, and you've got 2 years left on the get out clause, then you'd come to a solution with the landlord.
Well, I don't think we can come to a solution if we've already legally
You'd
obliged.
pay the 2 years then.
Yeah, I mean, to my mind, if something irresistible and financially viable came up, we'd have to put the cost of the extra rent and rates on the price that we were paying. Sorry, Councillor L.
Rather than making the office look into this over and over, would we not be able to speak to someone or an agent that does commercial properties, even some normal estate agents do that as well, and just put our email down on an alerts list, and anything that comes up, we'll tell them certain specifications of what we're looking for, what our budget is, and then rather than looking into it every week or every 2 weeks, we're just part of an automatic email alert, and we're alerted when a property that is to our standards or is within our budget comes up, and then we can look into it.
Or is it that we're not looking for one and we're happy where we are? I'm just asking because obviously this has been going round and round in circles
Well, it
for
has.
the last year.
And I thought that we'd made the decision to wait until a bit nearer the time. We've got another 3 years to go.
I don't think it would hurt to be on some sort of list, just to get alerted if anything does pop up. We don't have to do anything about it, but you don't want to miss out on a good chance if one does come by. The property is quite fleeting.
You've got three
Good
banks.
chances
You've
they
got three
come and
banks in town that are up for sale that I think would be quite good for the town.
Space and security
Yeah.
wise. Obviously you don't know what they are, we don't have to specifically go in.
I said we've got 3 banks in the town for sale at the moment that would actually, I think, be quite good buildings for it.
So you're saying you'd like us to register an interest with
I
agents?
don't know, I mean, you'd sort of maybe have to ask the clerk as well because she would know.
Yeah, Julie.
Well, one, how comfortable they are, where
Yeah.
they are. 2, what they need, specifications wise. What would make them more comfortable.
As I said, we're just going around,
And more
we keep saying
productive.
it and then we say we're not, and then, I don't know, are we, or are we just leaving it? and
Well, I
not
thought
looking?
things were, as I said, that we've got this 5-year break clause, and there's quite a long time between now and then.
Because we're talking about teams of rangers, we're talking about equipment, we're talking about growing.
Yeah.
And the building has to grow with us, and it can't. So through you, Chair, as well, how do you feel, Julie, where you are and where you believe we will be soon, and is your space enough?
Okay, well, we're at capacity now without doing development works to Western Road to accommodate more staff. So downstairs is the most number of staff you can get in there, with the 2 new ones that will start. So if you want to take on more staff, we're going to need to develop upstairs, which you'll know from the schedule condition. It needs heating and all that stuff. And it's not accessible ideally, but if staff don't have accessibility issues, it is okay for us to work in. So if you want to expand your staff numbers, no, currently we're at capacity and something would need to happen there, or you'd have to move somewhere bigger.
And I believe we've always said that staff is important, and we will be looking for more soon.
Yes, in certain committees, I think full council hasn't made a policy on this. So you don't have a specific policy that says this is where we're going, this is what we're doing. We've had a few visioning exercises and things like that, but no policy has come forward and been adopted that says this is what we're going to be. So maybe that's the conversation that you have at full council, is to set your, because it would just be like almost like a visioning mission statement type thing, but then at least you know as a corporate body where you're going to, and if you're going to make a statement that you're going to grow and take on more services and grow staff, then you will need to grow your premises. So,
would we be able to here today instruct the looking into the banks or being added to an email list, or would it have to be a full council decision?
this committee can look into it. You could ask me to go away and come back and report. It's what we've done before. So this committee has gone, go away and look at this property. We've gone away, reported back the details, and then we haven't proceeded with anything. So if you want to make a decision for us to investigate other premises that are on the market, I can go away, write a report and come back.
Councillor
Yeah.
Hussain.
So basically, we've got the choice of that building that we've got needs money spent on. We don't own the building, so it'll be spent on the offices upstairs and heating, etc., etc. Or we can look for a property that the council will own, and then we'll just have to pay that money for the two. And it's not going to happen now. This is something it might be a year. So then we'll have 2 years of rent to pay. And you pay 2 years of rent to then get out of that building, basically. So I understand. I think you don't want to do that, and I understand that you're wasting money on 2 years of it, but you're also wasting money on putting money into that building that we've got if we do need more staff. So you've got that choice there.
Well, this is a bit of a theoretical argument. I mean, I don't see the harm in putting out an application to go on mailing lists and see what happens with the property market.
But there's also, as I said, there are free buildings in town.
I don't even think that would necessitate a report. It would just register our interest, and then when something comes in, then we can investigate it a little bit more practically.
Yeah, but as I said, there's at least 3 buildings in town that probably could be good enough for the town council to be in.
Yeah, well, when they come on the market,
they are on the market.
Are they on the market?
Yeah. Councillor Hussain is talking about the banks that have closed down.
Yeah, I know that they've closed down, but I'm not sure
Yeah,
what's going on with them.
NatWest has been sold, I think.
It's still for sale. It's on there. Saw it today.
Or is it still?
Yeah.
Well, if we registered that we were interested, we'd be informed of what's on the market at the present time. Sorry, Councillor L.
I'm a firm believer in assets and property, and I'm a firm believer that the council should start looking into that as well. If we're all happy to do so, I would like us to go and look into the banks, mainly because they're secure. They were designed to host residents of Bexhill. They're probably accessible, most of them, and they're pretty much set up in the way that we need them to be set up. Whether it's the security counters or the way, they've got a chance to look into that and make it what's right for the hub. It would also add something back to Devonshire Road. Visually, we'll be able to make it look right again on Devonshire Road, and we'll be able to make it more presentable than just a closed down, big, nice old building. Because visually there are some very nice buildings that have closed down that were banks. But I would also like to propose that we do go on a mailing list, and if you all feel the same way about it, I'd like to do that tonight.
Yeah, to ascertain the availability of buildings.
Of the
Suitable
banks and the rest of the suitable buildings.
Yeah. Councillor Drayson.
Don't disagree with any of that, but are we allowed to do that, or does that have to be as a recommendation to full council for full council to say do that?
Well, you're not actually making any decisions about it, you're investigating. The role of the Finance Committee, monitor reserves, monitor performance, regular reviews, monitor purchase decisions, undertake a financial risk assessment, determine grants, monitor grants, review the staff handbook. So, you don't have any powers necessarily. I'd say to be on the safe side, go back to full council, because you might go.
I'm sorry, but
No,
You're right. You might go off exploring that, and then full council might say, "But we said we don't want to move. So why are you doing this?" Yeah, I see. It's a policy decision that we don't have a policy on.
Yeah.
In my mind, it was we were going to find out and then recommend what we found.
And then it was
To the town
decided not to do any more.
Okay.
So we did all this, and we brought up about the banks, and then it was decided for me not to pursue anything. So we took it off the agenda. So what you're proposing is it goes back on. So if you're going to do that, I think, yeah, because the policy was closed, I think the best thing to do, I know it's a pain, but if you do it properly, you're more likely to have the support of all the members rather than doing something outside of their decision. Because if they then, if the full council goes, well, you didn't have permission, they're more likely to go, actually, we don't want to do this. Do you see what I mean? It might be better to get everyone's agreement, or a majority agreement, so that you can then go and start exploring.
I know this feels like we're backtracking, but in my mind, or in my eyes, how I see it work is back then, even 2 weeks ago, I think this is how fast we're moving now, that we're getting more comfortable in the council. 2 weeks ago, we didn't know where we were going, or 3 weeks ago, we didn't know what we wanted. I think now that we can see a little bit of a future, and we can see that we're actually getting places, and we're all agreeing on how we want Bexhill to be, it's given us more of a clear vision of how we want Bexhill Town Council to be, and what we want from ourselves in the future, and we're not actually restricted to where we are. We want to grow, and we want to get bigger, and we want to do good. I see it as a positive step rather than backtracking.
Yeah, but it's also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's a commitment that we can't make. It should be a decision from full council.
That's fine.
So if you guys are happy,
Yeah.
maybe we could recommend to full council about making inquiries for the availability of suitable properties for our council.
because it's not for the policy to be on and be off. It's like an ongoing. We should be
We don't want to miss
constantly
anything.
looking for somewhere that might come up.
I think the whole point here is the get out clause is 27, so what some people have said is wait till then, but then you've got some good buildings there that are available, why not just get it
Don't want to
now?
be doing it New Year's Eve.
Or you're going to be spending thousands on the building we've got now to make it, so it's sort of in a...
I didn't particularly notice any massive great items of expenditure coming up on our...
But what Julie's saying is that at the moment we're at full capacity, so if we grow any more, we then need to start spending thousands on it. It's not accessible, it's not our building, so...
And growth comes quickly. Look what's happened in the last year, in the
Yeah.
last 18 months.
So you're talking 3 years' time, but in 3 years' time, we're definitely going to have more staff. So we're talking about that situation of, do you spend it on a building that isn't ours, or do we just buy a building?
I don't mean to be restrictive. What I'm saying is now we'll put the proposal to council and get a decision from them.
There needs to be an ongoing looking for.
Yeah.
But I believe the recommendation should also include the specific buildings that were banks first, just to see where they are, and then...
I mean, you can have a look, can't you? And they might not be suitable. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm guessing out of the three.
So can we reiterate then, just to say that we'd like make recommendations to full council that we notify people that we have an interest in acquiring larger premises, and see what the response is.
Sorry, I think that's going the step too. We need to recommend to them that they accept that we carry on looking for premises.
Okay.
That seems to me to be the bit that's already been stopped. So it's actually to restart looking for premises, and we have to have some in mind.
Yeah.
But if it's been shut down, we need to reopen looking for premises.
I think we had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction over the Sackville Road Methodist Church.
Yeah.
That's what got it all going, and then it wasn't a viable position. Our questions weren't even answered.
Yeah.
So that's.
But then we just drop it if it's something like that.
Yeah.
Just move on to the next one.
So it was resolved to recommend that the full council delegate the Finance and Audit Committee to investigate the banks for sale in the town as alternative premises for the town council, and any other suitable properties to accommodate future growth.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay. Right.
I'll
Councillor.
second it.
You seconded it. Right. Let's have a vote on that then, please. Right. That's unanimous. Thank you so much. Right. Can I go on now?
Yeah,
Everybody happy?
Sorry.
Definitely go.
Okay. So 8B. 8B we're on now. To note, continuing to seek quotes on security enhancements in the Town Council Hub.
8C, I think we're on.
Yeah.
You're
Should we
Yeah.
in the middle? Oh,
8C, yeah. To consider 36 months contract for gas and electric. The quotes have been circulated, so has anyone got any comments they'd like to make on that? Please.
Sorry, Councillor Elvis first.
Councillor Bell.
I did agree with 36 months until about 2 minutes ago when we started looking into properties. However,
If you move out of the property,
that's exactly what
you can come
we
out of
can-
the contract.
we can move it. So I've had to look at them in depth. EDF Energy's 36 month ones look to be the right way for us, and they're both actually the same, which would make it easier maybe. The only reason I'm saying that, even though the quote on British Gas is just a little bit cheaper, would be the standing charge on EDF is 45p as opposed to 68p for British Gas. So if you were to keep the standing charge down, then how much we're going to use during the day rate, that could fluctuate. It could go up obviously, but it could also go down, and we're still looking at being £731 cheaper in the overall quote than we have done
Yeah.
with our current supply.
We won't have any control over the standing charge because that's a fixed
That's fixed expenditure anyway,
Yeah.
and I believe EDF Energy 36 months on both gas and electric seem to be the way to go. That's my opinion.
Right, Councillor Ruston.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on with utilities still, but they are coming down slowly. Personally, I think 36 months is too long, because a lot can change in 36 months and we can end up paying a lot more than what we could do 18 months down the line. Personally, I prefer to look at something 24 months and then review it after them, because the market's still a bit up and down. It hasn't stabled itself out yet. And it's the difference of 20 quid.
Okay. Anyone else interested in a 12-month quote?
No,
24.
24.
Charlie said 24.
24, sorry.
I mean, either or, it would,
Yeah.
yeah. They usually balance themselves out. I believe it is wise to go above 12 months, so at least if you can lock in those 2 years, then I guess it will give us more flexibility later on.
We'll have
Yeah.
more indication. Yeah. So, can we apply for 2-year quotes then?
Just going to second it.
For a minute. So, right, okay. So that's been seconded that we're going to go for a 2-year quote. So,
Do we have to choose one?
well, these quotes are for 3 years, weren't they?
No, there's
No,
12, 24, 36.
Oh gosh, yes. Kill me now.
24
So,
months
EDF.
of EDF Energy, yeah?
Right.
Before with EDF.
Okay. Yep. I see that now. Right. So 12 months with EDF Energy then.
24.
24.
24. You lot.
Just check.
So 24 months then with EDF Energy. Can I have a seconder for that? Right, and now can I have a show of hands? Right, that's unanimous. Thank you. So, right, now item 9, health and safety. A, to note near misses incident process in place. And item 9B, to note facilities coordinator undertaking NEBOSH general, NEBOSH, I couldn't pronounce that, general certificate in occupational health and safety. So there's things that need to be noted. Item 10, recommendations from committees, there are none. Item 11, motions from councillors, there are none on this. 12, correspondence and matters for information, there are none. 13, questions from councillors and future agenda items. They're all here. I requested to ask for an update on the search for a 1-year bond, and that's been added and discussed. Councillor Ruston asked if grant recipients could be asked for reports on the money received. This has also been asked for. And Councillor Wilson asked to review the value of the grants and donations policy, which was already discussed. So they're all satisfied. Item B, to receive questions from councillors and any future agenda items. So has anyone got any questions or agenda items for the next finance and audit meeting? No? C, to consider any new risks for future mitigation. Anyone got anything they want to bring up? No. 14, overview of annual internal control tasks of the council. So we're now in June, which is what we're on schedule. Approval of AGAR, review internal controls and complete internal audit. So that's already in process. Date of the next meeting is the 10th of July 2024. So I think that brings the matter of this meeting to a close. Thank you everybody for your help. Thank you.